Chapter 295. However, when Tang Ao walked into the lake, he realized that the water was boiling hot. With such a phenomenon, Tang Ao was even more certain that there was a burning cinder true essence at the bottom of the valley. Tang Ao's spirit power poured out of his body, forming a ball-shaped shield around his body. Under the protection of the shield, Tang Ao jumped into the boiling water. As Tang Ao continued to dive deeper, he realized that there was actually lava underneath the boiling water. The horrifying temperature even burned Tang Ao's shield until it started to sizzle. However, Tang Ao was already at the third level of the Sea of Souls realm, so it was naturally not a problem for him to deal with this kind of situation. After diving deeper for a while, Tang Ao saw a palm-sized, pure gold stone not far away. Seeing this stone, Tang Ao was delighted, because this stone was the legendary Burning Cinder True Essence. Although Tang Ao had never obtained the Burning Cinder True Essence in his previous life, he had seen it at an auction. Therefore, Tang Ao directed his spirit power toward the Burning Cinder True Essence, slowly isolating it from the surroundings. The temperature around was horrifying, but the Burning Cinder True Essence was not that hot. When Tang Ao's spirit power completely enveloped the Burning Cinder True Essence, it became as hot as a normal stone. After obtaining the Burning Cinder True Essence, Tang Ao quickly left the valley and flew toward the valley where Lu Hanxiu and Shao Kong were. However, halfway there, Tang Ao realized that there was a huge commotion not far away, as if thousands of people were chasing something. Curious, Tang Ao flew over. After taking a closer look, Tang Ao was startled. It was just as he thought, there were indeed thousands of cultivators chasing after a single person. The person being chased was none other than the head disciple of the Seven Kills sect, Dong Xianyi. Dong Xuanyi fled as he fought, but the people behind him had no intention of giving up. Tang Ao did not understand why Dong Xuanyi was being chased by so many people. According to Dong Xuanyi's low profile and cautious personality, it should not be easy for him to make enemies with others. However, what Tang Ao didn't know was that Dongfang Xuanyi's fortuitous encounter in the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm was extremely good. Last time, he discovered an alchemy room and obtained quite a few pills. This time, Dong Xuanyi found another pill room. Just like the last time, after Dong Xuanyi broke the restriction, the medicinal fragrance of the pills in the pill room instantly spread out. When the surrounding crowd discovered the medicinal fragrance, they immediately focused their attention on Dong Xianyi. Dong Xuanyi had not fully recovered from his previous injuries, so he was naturally unwilling to fight them head-on. Furthermore, after obtaining 2 treasures in a row, the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm gave Dong Xianyi a false impression. It seemed like there were countless treasures in the Netherworld Emperor's Mystic Realm. In just a few days, he had already reaped such a huge harvest. Seeing Dong Xianyi being chased by so many people, Tang Ao naturally could not ignore it. Within the group of people chasing Dong Xianyi, there were 1st and 2nd level Origin Realm martial artists, as well as 8th and 9th level Origin Realm martial artists. Everyone's strength was different, but their goal was the same. They all wanted to stop the escaping Dong Xianyi. For these people, Tang Ao did not think that they could pose any threat to Dong Xianyi. What Tang Ao was concerned about were the 3 people at the very back of the group. After observing for a while, Tang Ao discovered that Dong Xianyi had already broken through to the 2nd level of Spirit Sea Realm. In the group chasing Dong Xianyi, the 3 people at the very back were also at the 2nd level of Spirit Sea Realm. Chapter 296. After some thought, Tang Ao decided to return to the valley and give the Blazing Ember Essence to Shao Kong. Then, he would strengthen the defensive formation before coming back to help Dong Xuanyi. At the thought of this, Tang Ao rushed towards the valley where Lu Hanxiu and Shao Kong were at full speed. After arriving at the valley, Lu Hanxiu was still focused on refining the pure medicinal power of the spiritual immortal grass. The golden silkworm cocoon around Shao Kong remained unchanged, but Tang Ao could clearly feel that a powerful aura was slowly being nurtured within the golden silkworm cocoon. With a thought, Tang Ao summoned the Jade Bone Life Spirit. Then, Tang Ao used the faint green light of the Jade Bone Life Spirit to wrap the blazing ember essence that he had just obtained and send it into the golden cocoon. Although Shao Kong was in the cocoon, he still knew that Tang Ao had given him another treasure. So, he immediately absorbed the blazing ember essence into the golden cocoon. After handing the true essence of the fire centipede to Shao Kong, Tang Ao glanced at Lu Hanxiu. At that moment, there was a thin layer of sweat on Lu Hanxiu's delicate face. Clearly, refining the spiritual immortal grass was not easy either. But compared to cultivating to the 9th level of the origin martial realm, using spiritual immortal grass to raise one's cultivation was far too easy. After strengthening the barrier protecting the two, Tang Ao quickly rushed in the direction that Dongswini had escaped. Tang Ao did not understand what Dongswini had done to incur the wrath of so many people. Actually, Dongswini had not done anything. He had only found 2 alchemy rooms in the Netherworld Emperor's secret realm. There were a total of 36 such alchemy rooms in the secret realm. Up until now, only Dongswini had found 2 alchemy rooms among the people who had participated in the secret realm. He had also reaped great rewards from the 2 alchemy rooms. In the second alchemy room, Dongswini had even obtained a legendary spirit treasure, the True Martial Seal. It was also because of the True Martial Profound Seal that it wasn't just disciples from small sects who were pursuing Dong Xianyi. There were also people from the other 3 sects that were also part of the 8 great sects of the profound Yellow Continent chasing after Dongswini. Soon, Tang Ao, relying on his cultivation of the 3rd level of the Sea of Souls realm, caught up to the others. Tang Ao noticed that apart from the disciples of the smaller sects, there were also some experts from the larger sects chasing after Dong Xianyi. However, these people were much more cunning than the disciples of the small sections. They just followed at the back of the group unhurriedly. Others might not know how powerful Dong Xianyi was, but how could the disciples of the 8 great sects not know? Thus, they only followed at the back of the group. Even they would have to bear some risks if they were to approach Dong Xuanya rashly. For the legendary True Martial Mystic Seal, it was worth the risk, but at this moment, they felt that it was unnecessary. With these greedy people who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth consuming Dongswini's spirit power, they were naturally happy to enjoy it. Moreover, although the 3 of them were working together temporarily, whoever managed to snatch the True Martial Mystic Seal from Dongswini would instantly be in the same situation as Dongswini. Looking at the people chasing after Dongswini, Tang Ao secretly thought of a countermeasure. Should he catch all of them in one fell swoop, or should he leave the few big fish that were also disciples of the 8 great sects alive? Chapter 297. While Tang Ao was spying on the 3 of them from behind, the 3 of them were secretly thinking about how to obtain the True Martial Mystic Seal while preserving most of their strength, and then successfully escape from the pursuit of everyone. Otherwise, after obtaining the True Martial Seal, they would inevitably fall into the same awkward situation as Dong Xianyi. Moreover, not long ago, there was news that Dong Xianyi had awakened a 22nd level life spirit in the Underworld Emperor's secret realm. This was also the reason why the trio didn't dare to get too close. If Dong Xianyi had really awakened a 22nd firmament life soul, he would definitely fight them to the death at all costs after seeing the 3 of them attacking him. Dong Xianyi kept changing the direction of his escape, but the surroundings were extremely wide and there were very few obstacles. Thus, Dong Xianyi had no way to shake off the pursuers behind him. If the pursuers behind him were just small fries from small sects, Dong Xianyi would naturally not care about them. Now that Dong Xianyi was at the 2nd level of the Sea of Souls realm, it would be easy for him to kill them or shake them off. What worried Dong Xianyi was the 3 people at the back of the group. They were the same as him, from one of the 8 major sections. There was Wind-Facing Monastery's senior apprentice brother Qing Fomin, Flying Star Mansion's senior apprentice brother Nanxingzi, and 4 spirit sects Zhua Bufan. These 3 were the top experts of the 3 major sects, and before entering the Underworld Emperor's secret realm, they were only slightly weaker than him. Right now, these 3 guys had also broken through to the 2nd level of the Sea of Souls realm. If it was one-on-one, he would not be afraid of any of them. However, the current situation was that these 3 top martial artists of the younger generation and a group of miscellaneous martial artists from small sects were constantly chasing him. If he did not think of a way to shake off Qing Fomin and the others, he would be in a life-threatening situation when he exhausted himself. Just as Dong Xianyi was feeling a little worried, he suddenly felt an even more powerful aura behind him. After sensing it, Dong Xianyi was a little incredulous, because the owner of the aura behind him was actually Tang Ao. And Tang Ao's aura was even more powerful than his. Tang Ao also sensed Dong Xuanye's soul power sweeping across his body, and he didn't try to hide it. He was here to help Dong Xuanye anyway, so it was necessary to inform Dong Xuanye of his existence. After confirming that Tang Ao was following them, Dong Xianye's emotions calmed down quite a bit. With him and Tang Ao joining forces, Qing Fomin and the other 2 would most likely not be able to bear the consequences. Thus, as Dong Xuanye fled in disorder in front of him, he secretly thought of a countermeasure. However, the disciples of the small sects behind Dong Xuanye chased after him while using incense sticks to send messages to their companions. This caused Dong Xianyi to encounter ambushes in front of him as he ran. At that moment, 21 mysterious night beads floated up behind Dong Xuanye. Dong Xuanye was starting to get annoyed by these sneak attacks. In the beginning, Dong Xuanye had only relied on his exquisite movement techniques to evade the attack. However, as he gradually realized that there were more and more attacks, he simply summoned the Profound Night Orb. Once he discovered an enemy sneak attack, he would use the Profound Night Orb to kill them with lightning speed. Meanwhile, Dong Xianye's method of killing the chicken to warn the monkey slowly gained some effect. Chapter 298. After such a long chase, Tang Ao had also taken a detour to the front of the crowd without leaving any traces. Although Tang Ao had no idea yet, Tang Ao felt that it was necessary to meet up with Dong Xianyi. However, there were simply too many people chasing after Dong Xianyi. It was extremely difficult for Tang Ao to get close to Dong Xianyi without leaving any traces. Seeing Dong Xianyi increase his pace, the people chasing him also increased their speed. Although Dong Xuanye only had one true martial mystic seal on him, he had looted 2 pill chambers in the Netherworld Emperor mystic realm. He had all sorts of precious elixirs on him. They were probably more valuable than the sect's inventory. Therefore, although most of the people were interested in the true martial seal, they still had some self-awareness. They knew that it was unrealistic for them to fight for a treasure like the true martial seal with their insignificant cultivation. Therefore, what they wanted was the precious pills that Dong Xianyi had. Of course, Dong Xianyi didn't know what the others were thinking. Even if he did, he wouldn't care. Ever since he started cultivating, he had faced countless life and death situations, but he never backed down, crying blood and singing loudly all the way. Facing such a dangerous situation today, Dong Xianyi didn't have any thoughts of giving up or compromising with the crowd. The pills he had obtained in the Underworld Emperor's secret realm were his own opportunities. Why should he give them to these people who were not related to him? Even if he did, he would bring them back to the sect and share them with his junior brothers. The rest of the pills would be handed over to the sect. At this moment, Dong Xianyi wanted to kill Ouyang Duan again. This traitor had failed to kill him last time, but this time, he actually leaked the news of him obtaining pills and awakening the 22nd level of the Fate Spirit. This caused him to be in such a dangerous situation. When he saw Ouyang Duan again, he would definitely get rid of him for the sect. Dong Xinyi also sensed that Tang Ao had arrived behind him, and it wouldn't be long before Tang Ao would be able to reunite with him. At this moment, Tang Ao's spirit power seemed to have reached the third level of the spirit sea realm. Dong Xinyi didn't know what opportunity Tang Ao had to increase his cultivation so quickly. Tang Ao was secretly delighted when he saw Dongswini continuously increasing his speed. Those who were chasing after Dongswini were all extremely powerful to begin with. After Dongswini sped up several times, many of them were no longer able to keep up with him. Like Tang Ao, who was flying at a low altitude, it was still fine. However, some of the cultivators who were running on the ground had already lost their stamina. Their footsteps were messed up and many of them fell. The crowd, which was originally orderly, also gradually became chaotic. Tang Ao realized that his chance had come. With a whoosh, he shot out from the crowd like an arrow. Because Tang Ao's speed was too fast, the people at the front only felt a gust of wind blow past them. They didn't realize that someone had already passed them. At the back of the crowd, Qing Fomin looked at the gradually slowing crowd and Dongswini, whose spiritual power was fluctuating slightly, and thought of a countermeasure. After chasing Dong Xuanya for 3 days and 3 nights, they had expended more than half of their spiritual energy. Although Dong Xinyi was not as exhausted as the others, he had been tense for the past 3 days. He was probably exhausted. Chapter 299. After he slipped away, he would quickly meet up with a few of his junior brothers who were rushing in this direction. At that time, even Zhuo Bufan of the Four Spirits sect and Nan Xingzi of the Flying Star Mansion would not be able to do anything to him. Thinking of this, Qing Fomin no longer hesitated, and the 8 wind heart beads on his right wrist flew out. Then, 8 20th firmament hurricane life souls of different shapes and sizes appeared behind Qing Fomin. As Qing Fengyin's hand seals changed, 8 hurricanes appeared around the 8 wind heart beads that surrounded everyone. With the support of the wind heart beads, the original 20 heavens hurricane life souls were instantly raised to the strength of a 21 heavens hurricane life soul. For a moment, sand and stones were blown away, and trees were toppled. Countless gusts of wind howled in the surroundings, instantly blocking everyone's vision. The stronger martial artist's vision was only blocked by the violent sandstorm, but the weaker martial artists were cut into pieces by the sharp greenish-gray wind blades in the hurricane. What's going on? Why is there such a strong wind all of a sudden? Ah? My hand was cut into pieces by the wind blade. Third junior brother, get out of the way. Ah! Tang Ao, who was in the midst of moving quickly, bumped into a hurricane, causing Tang Ao to feel dizzy. Immediately, Tang Ao cursed, "Which bastard sneaked up on me?" After bumping into the hurricane, Tang Ao also stopped moving. At this moment, Tang Ao's surroundings were covered in a gray haze, making it difficult for him to determine his direction. Moreover, Tang Ao discovered that his soul power was also being suppressed. Even with his full strength, he could only sense within a radius of 10 feet. Without much thought, Tang Ao summoned the 7 life souls of the 7 kill slaughtering art. Others did not know where this strange wind came from, but after thinking for a moment, Tang Ao understood. He had been in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm for a long time, but he had never encountered such a strange wind. Moreover, this strange wind was mixed with a special spiritual power fluctuation, which was obvious. Among the people present, the only one who could use the wind to this extent was the eldest senior brother of the Windward Monastery, Qing Fomin. Tang Ao understood that it seemed that this Qing Fomin could not wait any longer, so he used this method in advance to trap everyone. And the truth was just as Tang Ao thought. The 8 hurricanes of Qing Fomin instantly surrounded everyone in a barrier. With the augmentation of the wind heart beads, the 8 hurricane life souls that were comparable to the 21st firmament had become terrifying. After the hurricane started, 30% of the people chasing after Dongxian Yi were instantly shredded by the sharp wind blades within the hurricane. The others did not know what was going on, but the Flying Star Mansion's Nanxingzi, the 4 Spirits Sex Zhuobufan, and the 7 Kills Sex Dong Xuanye reacted quickly. The hurricane that was blowing at this moment was no ordinary wind. Instead, it was the Green City astral wind of the Windward Monastery, which was unparalleled in the black-yellow continent. Moreover, there were 8 wind vents that were constantly sweeping wind blades inside. Judging from the strength of the wind, it was obvious that they were life souls from the 21st firmament. According to what the 3 of them knew, the strongest person in the Windward Monastery, Qing Fomin, could only summon 8 life souls of the 20th firmament at the same time. Right now, the 8 life souls that trapped everyone were truly hurricane life souls of the 21st firmament. After a moment of confusion, the 3 of them confirmed that it was Qing Fengyin's doing. This was because the 3 of them felt that although the strength of the 8 life souls was infinitely close to that of the 21st firmament, they were essentially still life souls of the 20th firmament. Qing Fengyin must have used some special method to temporarily increase the power of the 8 life souls. Not long after Tang Ao circulated the 7-kill slaughtering art, countless wind blades slashed at Tang Ao from all directions. After seeing that the Hurricane Array's attack method was such wind blades, Tang Ao put away the 7 life souls that had used the 7-kill slaughtering art. Then, countless light green spots of light seeped out of his body and enveloped Tang Ao. These light green spots of light were the Jade Bone Life Soul from the 21st firmament. These light green spots of light constantly gathered on Tang Ao's body, eventually forming a crystalline barrier. Under the protection of this light green barrier, Tang Ao calmly walked in the Hurricane Array. Chapter 300. As the Jade Bone Life Spirit's light green light spots fluttered around like butterflies, Tang Ao also started to walk around in this fierce hurricane formation. Looking at the wind blades that kept coming at him, and were blocked by the Jade Bone Life Spirit, Tang Ao's face gradually darkened. The power of these wind blades was equivalent to a full power attack from a 5th-level origin martial realm warrior. Among the people present, there were not many warriors above the 5th-level origin martial realm. Most of them were at or below the 5th level. If these people were in the hurricane formation, they would probably be killed by the wind blades in a single move. As Tang Ao walked around in the hurricane formation, he had already seen a lot of corpses of warriors who had died tragically. Tang Ao was not a compassionate person, but seeing such cruel methods, he still felt a bit angry. Right now, Tang Ao had already confirmed that these wind blades were released by Qing Fengyin, who was one of the 3 people chasing after Dongxian Yi. The reason why Qing Fengyin did this was to take the true martial seal from Dongxian Yi's hands. However, if it was just to take the seal, Qing Fengyin did not need to make such a big move. Now that he had set up this hurricane formation, he probably wanted to kill Dongxian Yi and get rid of the others at the same time. Thinking about that, Tang Ao sneered. This Qing Fengyin's plan was not bad. But even in this kind of environment, Tang Ao did not think that Qing Fengyin would be Dongxian Yi's opponent. Just now, Tang Ao had noticed that Qing Fengyin and the other 2 were the same as Dongxian Yi, at the 2nd level of the Sea of Souls realm. In a situation where their cultivation was the same, Tang Ao was not worried that Dongxian Yi would not be Qing Fengyin's opponent. But right now, Tang Ao still wanted to find Qing Fengyin or Dongxian Yi as soon as possible. If Tang Ao found Qing Fengyin first, then he could kill him and break this hurricane formation, letting everyone out. Although most of the people here were greedy, they were not as hateful as Qing Fengyin. If Tang Ao could find Dongxian Yi first, they could work together to break through the hurricane. But what made Tang Ao very helpless was that he had traveled through the hurricane formation for so long, but he had not encountered a single living person. After walking for a while, Tang Ao sensed a strong fluctuation of spiritual power not far away, so he approached it. This spiritual power explosion was at least at the second level of the spirit sea realm, so it must be one of the three. Tang Ao was aware of Dongswini's aura, but this aura was not Dongswini's. When Tang Ao got closer, he noticed that the person was the Flying Star Mansion's Nan Xingzi. However, Nan Xingzi was busy dealing with the greenish-gray wind blades that came from all directions. Moreover, Tang Ao's aura was very obscure. Therefore, Nan Xingzi did not notice Tang Ao's presence. Facing the overwhelming wind blades, Nan Xingzi harumphed coldly. Rings of star patterns appeared on his body, and Nan Xingzi's body seemed to be slowly filled with stars. The sharp wind blades hit these stars like raindrops, but they only created a series of sparks, unable to harm Nan Xingzi in the slightest. Then, the stars around Nan Xingzi gradually sank into the surrounding air, disappearing completely. Chapter 301. Seeing Nan Xingzi's method of dealing with the wind blades, Tang Ao was secretly shocked. It seemed like the top disciples of the 8 sects all had their own extraordinary method. However, when Tang Ao saw a few normal martial artists charging toward Nan Xingzi's direction, he secretly shook his head. With Tang Ao's insight, he could naturally tell that Nan Xingzi had used some unknown method to forcefully summon a life spirit from the 29th sky. Although this life spirit was very obscure and was only a corner of the powerful life spirit from the 29th sky, everyone else was still at the 2nd or 3rd level of Sea of Soul realm. This move of Nan Xingzi's could already make him undefeatable in multiple life and death battles, while everyone else was still at the 2nd or 3rd level of Sea of Soul realm. Tang Ao could tell that there was danger around Nan Xingzi, but those normal martial artists who were scared out of their wits by the wind blades couldn't. Seeing that there was nothing around Nan Xingzi, everyone fought to be the first to rush in his direction. Seeing everyone running toward him, Nan Xingzi cursed, "Do you want to die? Get away from me." However, at the moment of life and death, they didn't care about Nan Xingzi's threat. They charged toward him without thinking. However, the instant they got close to Nan Xingzi, their expressions changed drastically. Then, they slowly disappeared from this space, leaving only a puddle of blood on the ground and a blood mist in the air. Seeing this, Tang Ao thought to himself, "I knew it." At this moment, Tang Ao was even more certain that Nan Xingzi had the protection of a special life spirit from the 29th sky. The few people who charged towards Nan Xingzi were killed by this fate soul by mistake. Thinking about how Nan Xingzi had warned them not to get close to him, Tang Ao's impression of Nan Xingzi changed a little. Although this person had a vicious mouth, he wasn't a bad person on the inside. Tang Ao was willing to befriend such a person. As for Nan Xingzi, he shook his head helplessly when he saw them sinking into the abyss. At this moment, he was using a corner of the 29th sky life spirit's devouring starry sky life spirit. He would be fine if he stood inside his life soul, but these idiots didn't listen to his advice and forced their way in. They couldn't blame him. Nan Xingzi pondered in his heart. This Qing Fengyin's Azure City astral winds were extremely powerful. Now that 8 astral winds had appeared at the same time, it was clearly impossible for him to escape without paying a price. But at this moment, he still had to conserve his strength and compete with Dongswini, Zhuobufan, or Qing Fengyin for the true martial profound seal. Therefore, Nan Xingzi had no intention of breaking through the astral wind barrier of Qing City. Instead, he used a mystic technique to summon a corner of the 29th heaven-devouring galaxy life soul and enveloped himself in it. After doing all this, Nan Xingzi sat down cross-legged to adjust his condition. Since Qing Fengyin had made the first move, a battle would inevitably break out between him and Dong Xianyi. No matter who won or lost, it would still be beneficial to him. If the two of them perished together, that would be even better. By then, he would only need to focus on dealing with Zhuobufan from the Four Spirits sect, which would save him a lot of trouble. Nan Xingzi wasn't interested in the true martial mystic seal, but Zhuo Bufan from the Four Spirits sect and Qing Fengyin from the Wind-Facing Temple were kind people. Once one of them obtained the true martial mystic seal, not many of them would be able to make it out alive. Chapter 302. The first level C of Soul Realm martial artist that Nan Xingzi sensed was naturally Tang Ao. In order to avoid trouble, Tang Ao hid his cultivation base at the first level of C of Soul Realm. After being discovered by Nan Xingzi, Tang Ao walked out from behind a cluster of wind blade. "Who are you?" Although he had the protection of the devouring starry sky life spirit, Nan Xingzi still felt a lingering fear when he failed to discover Tang Ao at such a close distance. Seeing Tang Ao approach, Nan Xingzi instantly became alert. Although Tang Ao only displayed the strength of the first level of C of Soul Realm, the fact that he failed to discover Tang Ao at such a close distance meant that Tang Ao was an expert with the ability to kill him. 7 Kills Sect. Look, Tang Ao. Tang Ao wanted to get to know Nan Xingzi, so he did not hide his identity. After hearing that Tang Ao was a disciple of 7 Kills Sect, Nan Xingzi was secretly shocked. He knew all the top disciples of 7 Kills Sect, but Tang Ao was a very unfamiliar name. However, Nan Xingzi did not doubt Tang Ao's identity, because Tang Ao had no reason to lie to him. Moreover, Nan Xingzi was also curious about Dongxian Ye's strange behavior not long ago. Now that he thought about it, everything made sense. In Nan Xingzi's opinion, although Tang Ao only had the cultivation base of the first level of C of Soul Realm, judging from Tang Ao's behavior, he was not weak at all. With Tang Ao's help, Dongxian Yi was naturally fearless. "You're here to kill me?" Nan Xingzi's question was not without reason. Everyone was currently trapped by Qing Fengyin's hurricane array. Inside the array, their vision was limited. No matter what happened, no one would know. He was the head disciple of Flying Star Mansion. As long as he died here, the rest of Flying Star Mansion would not be a match for the other forces. The loss of so many talented disciples was a heavy blow to the Flying Star Mansion. It was not impossible for the Flying Star Mansion to drop out of the 8 great sections. At the thought of this, Nan Xingzi secretly observed his surroundings. Since Tang Ao was here, Dongxian Yi must be nearby as well. If he were to deal with Tang Ao alone, Nan Xingzi was 70% confident that he could defeat Tang Ao. However, if Dongxian Yi were to help from the side, Nan Xingzi would definitely die today. "Why would I kill you? As for senior brother Dong Xuanye, I have no idea where he is." Tang Ao was secretly amused by Nan Xingzi's question. Did disciples from different sects have to kill each other's disciples when they bumped into each other? Tang Ao found it hard to understand why Nan Xingzi would ask such a question since he had no enmity with Nan Xingzi. Nan Xingzi was stunned by Tang Ao's reply. To him, everyone represented the interests of their respective sections. In such an environment, it would be extremely beneficial for their sects if they could kill the other party's talented disciple. As Nan Xingzi was deep in thought, Tang Ao approached Nan Xingzi under the protection of the Jade Bone Life Soul. After taking a closer look, Tang Ao recognized Nan Xingzi's life soul that came from the 29th heaven. This life soul was called the Galaxy Devouring Life Soul. It had a certain amount of devouring power. However, Nan Xingzi had only summoned a corner of the Galaxy Devouring Life Soul. Its devouring power was extremely limited. Chapter 303. Although Tang Ao didn't awaken the Starry Sky Devouring Life Spirit in his previous life, Tang Ao had killed many people with the Starry Sky Devouring Life Spirit. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that Nan Xingzi's star eye didn't have any devouring power. After Tang Ao sat down, he put away the Jade Bone Vitality Life Spirit. Then, he took out a flask of wine and 2 wine cups from his storage ring and gestured for Nan Xingzi to sit down and drink. Nan Xingzi was shocked speechless by Tang Ao's actions. He sat down mechanically, then raised his wine cup and took a sip very stiffly. Countless sharp wind blades swept by, and one warrior after another was sliced into pieces by the wind blades. At this moment, the slightly stronger warriors were on guard against their surroundings. Once a wind blade appeared, they would take the initiative to shatter it. However, after shattering the wind blade in front of them, they would instantly be killed by the wind blades that came from other directions. Thus, many of them formed a temporary alliance. The three of them stood back to back, resisting the wind blades that came from all directions. This combination was extremely effective. The first three people to form this combination had already survived dozens of wind blades, and the others followed suit one after another. Just like the other three, they formed groups of three and stood in one place. However, the three people who first thought of this method were all at the peak of the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm. Moreover, their battle experience and battle awareness were the best among their peers. Therefore, the three of them could survive the dozens of wind blades. However, the teams that were formed later had many warriors who were just there to make up the numbers. Often, the other two martial artists would be able to block the wind blade, but the weaker martial artist would not be able to block it. This would result in the other two martial artists being killed by the wind blade from behind. For a time, the howling of the wind and the screams of the cultivators filled the air. The pungent smell of blood constantly stimulated the nerves of the crowd. Looking at the piles of broken pieces on the ground, not many people had the confidence to leave this place alive. However, their will to survive kept pushing them to block the sharp wind blade. In the star eye of the devouring starry sky life soul, Nanxingzi and Tang Ao drank several cups of wine before Nanxingzi's emotions calmed down. Seeing that Nanxingzi had calmed down, Tang Ao sized up the devouring galaxy life spirit and said, "I didn't expect there to be such a method in this world." At the second layer of the Sea of Souls realm, he was able to summon the 29th sky devouring galaxy life spirit. Although it is only a corner, it is still not bad. At this moment, Tang Ao was like a senior who had experienced many trials and tribulations, commenting on the martial skills of the younger generation. If not for the fact that Mingdi was dead, Nanxingzi would have suspected that Tang Ao was being protected by Mingdi. "You can recognize that this is the galaxy-devouring life soul?" Nanxingzi's question was unnecessary because Tang Ao had already used his actions to tell him that not only did Tang Ao recognize the galactic-devouring life soul, but he also had a deep understanding of it. Otherwise, Tang Ao wouldn't be drinking wine with him in the star eye of the devouring galaxy life spirit. Of course, the galaxy-devouring life soul is also a life spirit worthy of reminiscence. A trace of vicissitudes unconsciously leaked out from Tang Ao's eyes. In his previous life, there was a sect that cultivated the galactic life soul that had always been at odds with him. The 5 elders of that sect had all awakened the 29th sky devouring galaxy life spirit. Chapter 304. At the thought of this, Tang Ao recalled that in this life, there was also a sect that cultivated a galactic life soul that made things difficult for him, the Celestial Star Sacred Sect. In his previous life, that sect was a sanctimonious hypocrite sect, and the Celestial Star Sacred Sect in this life wasn't any better. It was a different era, but it was the same situation. Hearing Tang Ao say that, Nanxingzi felt sorrowful. The star-devouring life soul was a life soul that made people miss it? It was as though Tang Ao knew the star-devouring life soul very well. Seeing that Nanxingzi was silent for a long time, Tang Ao continued, "The star-devouring life soul is actually a compound life soul. If 2 martial artists with the same mind were to use the star-devouring life soul at the same time, its power would increase significantly. For example, you can only summon a corner of the star-devouring life soul. However, if another martial artist with the same mind as you summon the star-devouring life soul together, they might be able to summon the phantom image of the star-devouring life soul." Tang Ao's words completely stunned Nanxingzi. The star-devouring life soul was extremely mysterious. It was passed down from a large sect in ancient times in the Flying Star Manor. Tang Ao's point of view wasn't even recorded in the Flying Star Manor. However, as Nanxingzi, who could summon the star-devouring life soul, he agreed with Tang Ao's statement very much. Outside, countless wind blades from the hurricane formation were still surging towards them. Under such a hurricane, most people were in pain and despair. However, there were still a few people who were relaxed. Apart from Tang Ao and Nanxingzi, who were leisurely drinking under the star-devouring life soul, Zhuobufan of the Four Spirits sect wasn't bothered by the astral winds. At that moment, an umbrella rose above Zhuobufan's head. It was an umbrella that emitted rainbow streams of light. The origin of this umbrella was not inferior to the true martial mystic seal in Dongsweni's hands. However, compared to the true martial mystic seal, which was a great killing weapon that could destroy heaven and earth, the Four Spirits sect's treasure above Zhuobufan's head was a defensive treasure. When countless overwhelming wind blades attacked Zhuobufan, they were all bounced off by the Four-Spirit umbrella. In the cosmic engulfing life soul, Nanxingzi looked at Tang Ao warily after seeing him put down his wine cup. "Who are you? Why do you know so much about the star-devouring life soul?" Tang Ao smiled inexplicably when he heard that. "You definitely wouldn't believe me if I told you that I once killed 5 possessors of the cosmic devouring life soul." Nanxingzi shook his head decisively. Although Tang Ao was quite strong, if Tang Ao claimed that he could kill an expert who had awakened the starry sky devouring life soul. However, Nanxingzi didn't believe it at all. To Nanxingzi, it wouldn't be easy for Tang Ao to kill him, let alone an expert who had awakened the galaxy-devouring life soul. "Since you don't believe me, then I can only be 7 kills sex Tang Ao. However, you've also noticed that what I said just now wasn't false." Tang Ao was obviously referring to the fact that the cosmic engulfing life soul was a composite life soul. Nanxingzi sighed and nodded. "You're right. If I have the help of a warrior who is mentally connected to me, even if I can't summon the phantom image of the cosmic engulfing life soul, I can still summon a large portion of the cosmic engulfing life soul. It won't be limited to just a corner." Chapter 305. Why are you telling me this? However, Nanxingzi was still clear-headed. He felt that it was suspicious for Tang Ao to tell him this for no reason. "Because I think you're an interesting person and I like to make friends with interesting people." Hearing Tang Ao's words, Nanxingzi suddenly laughed. "Why do you think I'm willing to be friends with you?" Tang Ao raised the wine glass in his hand. "Since you drank my wine, it means that you acknowledge me as a friend. You should know that I only drink with friends." Nanxingzi was stunned by Tang Ao's forward thinking. He then said, "What if someone drinks your wine and doesn't want to be friends with you? Then they would be my enemy. But you don't seem like my enemy." Tang Ao raised the wine bottle and poured a glass for Nanxingzi and himself. Nanxingzi took a sip. "Fortunately, I'm not too stupid. I'm not stupid enough to make an enemy of someone like you." Hearing Nanxingzi's words, Tang Ao smiled calmly. In his previous life, he was invincible, but he was lonely for the rest of his life. Since he was reborn in this life, Tang Ao decided that he would befriend any interesting person he met. "Actually, I'm not too interested in Dongxian Ye's true martial mystic seal. Since you're here, why don't we work together to break Feng Qingyang's hurricane formation?" Nanxingzi said to Tang Ao after some consideration. Even though Nanxingzi was quite strong, he was a little antisocial. To be able to befriend someone as interesting as Tang Ao, Nanxingzi was quite willing. In a corner of the hurricane formation, many warriors were tempted when they saw Zhuobufan's treasure. Everyone was trying their best to resist the attack of the hurricane formation, but Zhuobufan was sitting calmly with the help of a treasure like this. Such a thing naturally aroused the jealousy of several warriors around him. Immediately, 3 warriors launched a sneak attack on Zhuobuffan from 3 directions. However, Zhuobuffan seemed like he didn't hear anything. He actually sat down calmly. When the 3 warriors saw that Zhuobuffan actually looked down on them like this, the steel sabers in their hands could not help but move a little faster. However, when their steel blades made contact with the 4-spirit umbrella, the 3 of them suddenly felt a peculiar ripple invading their bodies. Then, under the horrified gazes of the 3 people, the spiritual power in his body began to tremble uncontrollably. Moreover, the frequency of the tremors grew faster and faster. It did not take long before the 3 of them were reduced to a pile of dust. Seeing this scene, the hearts of the surrounding warriors who originally had ideas about the 4-spirit umbrella also trembled. They focused on guarding against the wind blades in the surrounding space, and did not dare to have any ideas about Zhuobuffan's 4-spirit umbrella. Zhuobuffan also snorted coldly and ignored the crowd. In the star-devouring life soul, Tang Ao shook his head when he heard Nan Xingzi's suggestion. If I'm not wrong, this hurricane formation should be supported by 8 wind heart beads. With our strength, we might be able to break this hurricane formation, but the consumption would definitely not be small. By that time, Zhuobuffan of the 4-spirit sect and Feng Qingyang of the wind-facing monastery might not be so easy to deal with. Nan Xingzi was extremely intelligent. He quickly understood what Tang Ao meant. He and Tang Ao were strong competitors for the true martial mystic seal. Once the 2 of them consumed too much energy, it was almost obvious that Qing Fomin and Zhuobuffan would definitely make a move on him and Tang Ao. His and Tang Ao's strength was on par with Qing Fomin and Zhuobuffan's. At that time, he and Tang Ao would fall into a dangerous situation. In that case, do you still have any wine? Nan Xingzi took out 2 plates of cloud gong boar meat from his storage ring and placed them on the ground. The meat of cloud gong boar was crispy and delicious. Coupled with Tang Ao's dragon spring wine, it was really enjoyable. Chapter 306. Tang Ao opened a jar of dragon spring wine and threw it to Nan Xingzi. Then, he opened another jar of dragon spring wine and drank it. After drinking a mouthful of dragon spring wine, he picked up a piece of cloud gong pig's lean meat. Feeling the mellow fragrance and the smooth and tender feeling in his mouth, Tang Ao felt very comfortable. This dragon spring wine was already considered a top-grade wine, and Nan Xingzi's cloud gong pig's slices were not ordinary either. At this moment, drinking the mellow dragon spring wine and eating the smooth and tender cloud gong pig slices, Tang Ao was enjoying himself. If Luo Tsai was here, everything would be perfect. Thinking of Luo Tsai, Tang Ao secretly became anxious. His main goal for this trip was to find Luo Tsai, but after walking for so long, he still hadn't seen her. While drinking, Nan Xingzi also noticed the worried look in Tang Ao's eyes, so he asked, "Big brother Tang Ao, is there something you're worried about?" Nan Xingzi didn't have many friends, and none of them could sit down and drink with him like Tang Ao. But Nan Xingzi was very observant. Once he approved of something, he would pay attention to it. Tang Ao didn't expect Nan Xingzi to notice his unintentional expression, so he didn't hide it. 7 Kills sect came this time, but after entering the underworld emperor mystic realm, the 5 of us got separated. One of them is called Luo Tsai, and she's very important to me. Nan Xingzi laughed lightly. Big brother Tang Ao is indeed extraordinary. I didn't expect 7 Kills sect's #1 beauty to be Big brother Tang Ao's partner. When Nan Xingzi heard Tang Ao say that Luo Tsai was very important to him, he immediately figured out the relationship between Tang Ao and Luo Tsai. And the reality was just as Nan Xingzi thought. Tang Ao and Luo Tsai were in love with each other. But whether it was Tang Ao or Luo Tsai, they didn't take the initiative to express their feelings for each other. Therefore, Tang Ao did not know what Luo Tsai thought of him. Did she see him as an ordinary friend, or did she see him as a partner like him? However, Tang Ao was not in a hurry. He was the possessor of the hidden jade body in stone and the heavenly phoenix spiritual jade body. Their relationship was already destined. Therefore, no matter what, after experiencing some things, the two of them would naturally come together and let nature take its course. I wonder if junior brother Nan has any news about junior sister Luo Tsai on the way here? At this moment, Tang Ao was only worried about Luo Tsai's safety. After confirming that Luo Tsai was fine, Tang Ao would be able to explore the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm freely. Nan Xingzi shook his head. Senior Martial Brother Tang, don't you have the communication incense for 7 Kills Sect's disciples? Although the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm only opened once every 10,000 years, a small portion of the mysteries of the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm had already been thoroughly studied by the Black-Yellow 8 sects and the 6 great clans. For example, the teleportation formation at the entrance of the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm was a random teleportation formation with uncertain landing points. In other words, no matter who entered the teleportation formation at the same time, they could be teleported to any place in the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm or to the same place. Chapter 307. Hearing Nan Xingzi asking about the letter incense, Tang Ao shook his head. I don't know why, but the elder who brought us here didn't give us the letter incense. I wonder which elder is leading the 7 Kills sect this time? The Flying Star Manor that Nan Xingzi was from was ranked second among the 8 major sections. Moreover, it was extremely close to the entrance of the Netherworld Emperor's secret realm. When the second elder of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect said that they could enter the Netherworld Emperor's secret realm, Nan Xingzi and the others immediately entered the secret realm. As such, Nan Xingzi had no idea which elder was leading the 7 Kills sect. The one who brought us here this time around is our 7 Kills sect's ancestor Fengya. This was no secret and there was no need for Tang Ao to hide it. Therefore, Tang Ao told Nan Xingzi about it. I didn't expect Sage Fengya to be the one leading the 7 Kills sect this time. If it was some other elder leading the group, it might be because they had forgotten about the letter incense. However, if it's Sage Fengya, there must be a deeper meaning behind this. Taoist Fengya and the ancestral masters of the various sects were characters of the same level. Among the 8 major sects and 6 major clans of the Desolate Era, except for the ancestral master of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect, who had fallen, the other forces had 1 or 2 ancestral masters overseeing them. It was just that these powerhouses were at the end of their lifespans, so they were basically cultivating in seclusion. They wouldn't come out unless there was a great calamity that befell their sect. Over the years, only Taoist Master Fengya had been active in the outside world. Hearing Nan Xingzi's words, Tang Ao felt enlightened. Tang Ao didn't think that Taoist Fengya had any ulterior motives. In Tang Ao's opinion, Taoist Fengya must have forgotten to give the incense stick to the others in order to obtain the treasure from the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect's second elder. Then, Tang Ao remembered that Nan Xingzi was also alone, so he asked, seeing that junior brother Nan is alone, did your sect not give you any incense sticks? That's not it. Although this incense is useful, it's limited in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm. Back when I was transported to the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm, I was transported to an underground palace. In that underground palace, Xian Xiang's message couldn't be sent out at all, so I couldn't contact my junior brothers. Tang Ao was stunned. He didn't know much about this kind of incense. Why is that? Nan Xingzi pondered for a moment and said, I think the person who made the incense probably didn't come to Underworld Emperor Mystic Realm before, so he doesn't know much about it. Tang Ao nodded. Nan Xingzi's deduction was reasonable. Tang Ao and Nan Xingzi had already drunk half a jar of wine each, but the overwhelming wind blades in the hurricane formation still hadn't stopped. However, the miserable cries in the surroundings gradually faded. Of course, this wasn't because these warriors had blocked the sharp wind blade attacks of the hurricane array, but because the warriors who couldn't block the wind blade attacks were already dead. Junior Brother Nan said that when you first came to the Netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm, you were transported to an underground palace. I wonder if Junior Brother Nan discovered anything there? Tang Ao didn't ask this question on a whim. In his previous life, Tang Ao had vaguely found out that one of the three great treasures of the Underworld Emperor Mystic Domain, the Wind Thunder Underworld Cloud, was located in an underground palace within the Underworld Emperor Mystic Domain. Chapter 308. Back when Nan Xingzi was teleported to the underground palace, he had already searched it thoroughly multiple times. However, apart from some strange murals and runes, there was nothing else in the underground palace. Nan Xingzi did not hide anything and told Tang Ao the location of the underground palace in detail, as well as what he had discovered in the underground palace. Senior Brother Tang, I won't hide it from you. Back then, I searched the underground palace thoroughly 3 times. However, apart from a strange mural, there was nothing else. Hearing Nan Xingzi's words, Tang Ao was very suspicious. Junior Brother Nan, there are countless treasures in the Underworld Emperor's mystic realm. For them to specially arrange an underground palace, there must be something there. This underground palace is very suspicious. Who knows, there might be something hidden within. Nan Xingzi was secretly impressed by Tang Ao's meticulousness. Back then, when he was teleported to the underground palace, he realized that there was nothing there. Hence, he left the underground palace. After that, he met up with a few of his junior brothers in the sect. After a discussion, they discovered that the underground palace was unusual. Hence, Nan Xingzi and the others searched the underground palace thoroughly. However, they did not find anything. However, after a thorough search, they discovered something. The underground palace might have originally contained many treasures. However, during the previous opening of the Underworld Emperor's mystic realm, there was a high possibility that the treasures had been taken by the seniors from 10,000 years ago. Hence, by the time Nan Xingzi and the others went to investigate, the underground palace was already empty. Senior Brother Tang, I won't hide it from you. Although I didn't find anything in the underground palace, I did discover something. After a round of investigation by me and my junior brothers, we discovered that there should have been treasures in that underground palace. It's just that the last time the Underworld Emperor Mystic Realm opened, the treasures inside had already been taken by those seniors from 10,000 years ago. Nan Xingzi's speculation was very convincing. This was the second time the Underworld Emperor's mystic realm had opened. During the previous opening of the mystic realm, although most of the disciples who took part in the mystic realm had perished due to the demonic beasts, there were many survivors who had managed to obtain treasures in the mystic realm and brought them out. The underground palace that Nan Xingzi mentioned was most likely one of them. However, Tang Ao was still very interested in the underground palace. Junior Martial Brother Nan, can you tell me the location of the underground palace? Why not? Nan Xingzi took out a piece of beast skin and started drawing on the ground. He drew the location of the underground palace and some entrances and exits in detail for Tang Ao. Although Nan Xingzi had no idea why Tang Ao wanted to go to the underground palace, he and his junior brothers had already searched the place 3 times. It was not a big deal to tell Tang Ao. Instead, he could do him a favor, so why not? Tang Ao was also very satisfied with Nan Xingzi's straightforwardness. The two of them continued to raise their cups and drink to their heart's content. Life should be enjoyed to the fullest. Don't let the golden goblet be empty facing the moon. At this moment, although the two of them did not have anything to be proud of, they still wanted to have a good chat. Donxwini's 22 profound night pearls appeared at the hurricane formation. The profound night pearls floated around Donxwini, continuously deflecting the sharp wind blades that came from the surroundings. Because of the hurricane formation, Dongswini could not sense Tang Ao's location. Dongswini was a little hesitant. Should he break out of the formation or meet up with Tang Ao? Chapter 309. Since the formation was under Qing Fengyin's control, Qing Fengyin should have easily discovered his location. Therefore, staying in the formation would put him in a very dangerous situation. After some consideration, Dong Xianyi took out a square jade seal with a golden dragon coiling around it from his storage ring. This jade seal encircled by a golden dragon was Dongswini's greatest gain from this trip, the legendary true martial profound seal. Dong Xianyi wanted to refine this treasure in the hurricane formation. As long as he refined this treasure, Qing Fengyin and the other two wouldn't be a match for him, even if he had to fight 1 against 3. However, Dong Xianyi was worrying too much. Even if he had to fight 2, he wouldn't end up in a situation where he had to fight 3 alone. Moreover, there was a high possibility that once the hurricane formation dissipated, he would immediately have to fight 3 alone. This was because Nan Xingzi and Tang Ao had become friends after drinking 3 jars of wine. Since they were friends, Nan Xingzi would definitely help Tang Ao. Inside the star engulfing life soul, Tang Ao couldn't help but feel a headache when he saw the densely packed greenish-gray wind blades. Although the wind blades couldn't hurt him, Tang Ao couldn't completely give up on defense and allow the wind blades to slash his body. Tang Ao had no doubt that if he really did that, there would be another set of white bones in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm. Tang Ao clenched his right hand and a green lotus slowly appeared. This green lotus was the green lotus sword soul that Tang Ao had awakened back then. However, due to the low grade of the green lotus sword soul, Tang Ao rarely used it after he awakened a high-grade life soul other than the 7-kill carnage art. Nan Xingzi could also tell that the life soul that Tang Ao was using was of an extremely low grade. It was only the green lotus sword soul at the 9th level. Nan Xingzi had no idea why Tang Ao would summon such a low-grade life soul under such circumstances. Under the pale green glow of the jade bone life soul, the green lotus sword soul slowly floated out of Nan Xingzi's star-devouring life soul. Then, the jade bone life spirit returned to Tang Ao's body, while the green lotus sword soul released thousands of sword qi to block the wind blades that came from all directions. "Senior brother Tang, are you trying to train your fate soul here?" Seeing this, Nan Xingzi asked uncertainly. Because apart from this, Nan Xingzi could not think of any other reasonable reason. Even so, Nan Xingzi felt that this reason was very far-fetched. This was because the grade of Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul was too low. At Tang Ao's current cultivation level, he would rarely use such a low-level life soul. If it wasn't out of interest or passion, there was no value in honing such a life soul. However, now that Tang Ao and himself were trapped in the hurricane formation with nothing to do, training these low-grade life souls that were awakened early on was a good idea to kill time. Hearing Nan Xingzi's question, Tang Ao nodded. "Yes, I'm training this life soul that was awakened early on. Since I started cultivating, I've been using these life souls less and less." Chapter 310. Once a life soul was awakened by a warrior, it would cut off the opportunity for it to continue growing. This would cause the life soul to be awakened to be at a certain heaven. This life soul in the warrior's body would stop at that heaven's strength during the period of the warrior's death. The Heaven's Evolution Record was a cultivation technique that allowed the life soul to continue growing after the warrior awakened it. Tang Ao had already memorized the contents of the Heaven's Evolution Record, so at this moment, Tang Ao was following the records of the Heaven's Evolution Record to see if the idea in the Heaven's Evolution Record was feasible. If it was feasible, not only would the hurricane formation not cause him trouble, but it would also give his life soul a chance to advance. The life souls that King Fenjian used to set up the 8 hurricane arrays were all 20th firmament life souls. With the augmentation of the wind heart beads, the 8 life souls were comparable to 21st firmament life souls. Therefore, Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul that came from the 9th level was gradually unable to withstand the attack of the wind blades. Although Tang Ao's green lotus sword soul also erupted with tens of thousands of sharp sword chi to collide with the surrounding wind blades, due to the difference in grade, the green lotus sword soul needed 3 to 4 sword chi to block an ordinary wind blade. Gradually, some wind blades broke through the green lotus sword soul's sword chi and hit the green lotus sword soul. After being hit by the wind blades, the green lotus sword soul actually transformed into another 2 green lotuses under Tang Ao's shocked gaze. In midair, Tang Ao's 3 green lotus sword souls formed a triangle. Facing the overwhelming wind blades, the 3 green lotus sword souls erupted with thousands of sword chi, blocking the surrounding wind blades. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao was certain. The heaven's evolution record was not groundless. It seemed that after a warrior awakened the life soul, it was possible to advance. Thinking of this, Tang Ao was extremely excited. Although Tang Ao did not have the ability to awaken a higher-level life soul at this time. However, if Tang Ao wanted to awaken a low-level life soul, it was a piece of cake. This way, as long as Tang Ao focused on awakening low-level life souls, he could then nurture these low-level life souls into high-level life souls according to the heaven evolution record. In the future, Tang Ao would have countless high-level life souls. This way, there would no longer be any low-level life souls for Tang Ao. Only the most suitable life soul existed. As far as the life soul that Tang Ao had awakened was concerned, Tang Ao had awakened the Blood Battle Dragon Soul life soul because it belonged to the 18th firmament and was powerful. However, based on Tang Ao's recent use of the Blood Battle Dragon Soul, it clearly didn't match Tang Ao's combat style. However, with the Heaven Evolution record, Tang Ao wasn't worried that the Blood Battle Dragon Soul would be an extra life soul. Since the current Blood Battle Dragon Soul didn't match his combat style, he could only use the Heaven Evolution record to make the Blood Battle Dragon Soul meet his requirement. In midair, the 3 green lotus sword souls were still tenaciously resisting the onslaught of the hurricane array. At that moment, Tang Ao had completely broken free from the control of the 3 green lotus sword souls, giving Tang Ao the greatest freedom since he awakened the green lotus sword soul. Therefore, all the reactions of the green lotus sword soul could be seen as instinctive reactions of the green lotus sword soul. Chapter 3:11. Fierce winds howled in the hurricane array as wind blades swept across, causing all the cultivators in the array to complain incessantly. After all, cultivators like Tang Ao and Nan Xingzi, who had special methods like them, were extremely rare. Apart from Tang Ao and Nan Xingzi, the creator of the hurricane array, Qing Fengyin, was still feeling extremely comfortable in the array. At this moment, a bead was floating above Qing Fengyin's head. This bead was also the last of the 9 beads on his wrist. This bead was obviously not the wind heart bead, but the wind shelter bead. When Qing Fengyin walked in the hurricane array with this wind shelter bead on his head, there wasn't even a gust of wind around him. But at this moment, Qing Fengyin was still frowning. In the past, when he used his 8 20th heaven life souls to set up the hurricane array, he could sense everything within the array. But this time, Qing Fengyin was worried that the 20th heaven life soul hurricane array wouldn't be able to trap Dong Xianyi, Zhuo Bufan, and the others. Therefore, with the support of the wind heart bead, the 8 life souls that formed the hurricane array had been raised to the strength of the 21st heaven life soul. Such a hurricane array could indeed trap Dong Xianyi and the others, but this level of hurricane array was beyond his control. In midair, cracks gradually appeared on Tang Ao's 3 green lotus life souls under the corrosion of countless wind blades. The cracks increased, and it looked like it was about to shatter. At this moment, Tang Ao didn't hesitate anymore. With a wave of his hand, the 3 green lotus flew back into his hand. Looking at the 3 green lotus life souls covered in cracks, Tang Ao kept them back into his body. When Tang Ao returned the 3-petaled green lotus life spirit into his body, the 3-petaled green lotus immediately began to absorb Tang Ao's spiritual power. But because they didn't have Tang Ao's life soul, they only dared to absorb a trace of spiritual energy from Tang Ao's body each time. If Tang Ao hadn't been paying attention to the changes in the 3 green lotus life souls, Tang Ao wouldn't have been able to detect that the 3 green lotus sword souls were absorbing his spiritual energy. This was because the amount they absorbed was far less than the amount of spiritual energy in Tang Ao's body at all times. Even if Tang Ao didn't actively absorb spiritual energy, the Jade Bone Life Soul was still absorbing and refining spiritual energy for Tang Ao. From this point alone, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the Jade Bone Life Soul was the most precious life soul in the world. At the very least, this was the first time Tang Ao had heard of a life soul that could help its host cultivate. At this moment, Tang Ao mobilized a large amount of spirit force in his body towards the injured 3-petaled green lotus sword soul. His goal this time was to see if the heaven evolution record was feasible, so he would not be stingy with his spirit force. While Tang Ao was training his life soul, Nan Xingzi was sitting quietly at the side, absorbing and refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He was a person who didn't like to talk nonsense. After chatting with Tang Ao for so long, he had nothing else to talk about. After seeing Tang Ao train his life soul, Nan Xian also started to cultivate. When the 3 green lotus sword souls in Tang Ao's body sensed Tang Ao's surging spiritual energy, they became excited like children who got candy. The 3 green lotus sword souls tried their best to absorb the spiritual energy Tang Ao gave them to repair their injuries. As the 3 green lotus sword souls continued to absorb Tang Ao's spiritual power, the aura of the 3 green lotus life souls gradually became stronger. After the 3 green lotus life souls repaired their damage, the 3 green lotus life souls had the strength of a peak 9th firmament life soul. Seeing this, Tang Ao willed and the 3 green lotus sword souls merged into one. The strength of the green lotus sword soul instantly reached the 10th heaven life soul. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao's heart was filled with shock. Chapter 312. After advancing the green lotus sword soul to the 10th sky level, Tang Ao also sat down cross-legged. He secretly recalled the entire process of the green lotus sword soul's advancement. Although the Heaven's evolution record recorded the possibility of the life spirit advancing, it only listed a portion of the methods. Moreover, the advancement methods of these life souls were all different. There was no standard method. Another point was that the Heaven evolution record only gave 31 methods to advance life souls. Among all the life souls that Tang Ao had awakened, none of them were among the 31. This was because these 31 life souls were all evolved from the first level of life souls. Under normal circumstances, no martial artist would choose to awaken a first level of life soul. However, after the green lotus sword soul advanced, Tang Ao vaguely felt that he seemed to have discovered a pattern in the advancement of life souls. Take the green lotus sword soul for example. The green lotus sword soul only advanced after it was severely injured by the wind blades and absorbed a large amount of his Xian Qi. There was a feeling of, without destruction, there can be no construction, and after destruction, there can be construction. To prove his guess, Tang Ao summoned the other life souls one after another. With a flash of red light, the 8 treasure goose feather saber soul appeared. Then, the 100 battle spear soul, the dominating axe soul, the shooting sun arrow soul, the 1000 ghost soul, and the farewell hook soul were all placed outside of the devouring galaxy life soul by Tang Ao. They were baptized by the countless wind blades in the hurricane array. Tang Ao was now a 3rd level C of Soul's realm martial artist. Later, even if the 6 life souls were damaged at the same time, Tang Ao could use the pure spiritual power of the hidden jade in stone body to recover the damage of the life souls. After Nan Xingzi adjusted his breath, he saw Tang Ao train the 6 life souls in the wind blades at the same time. Nan Xingzi was shocked. With his devouring galaxy life soul blocking, Tang Ao had almost lost contact with the 6 life souls outside the devouring galaxy life soul. If the 6 life souls were broken at the same time, Tang Ao would be severely injured instantly. Seemed like there was a reason why Tang Ao was stronger than him. Just Tang Ao's boldness alone was not something that he, Nan Xingzi, could possess. Although he knew this, Nan Xingzi didn't dare train his life soul in the endless wind blades like Tang Ao. Therefore, after letting out a soft sigh, Nan Xingzi continued to cultivate. After Tang Ao released the 6 life souls, he didn't pay any more attention to them. He, who possessed the hidden jade and stone body, was different from other warriors. The other warriors' life spirits were closely connected to their own souls. Once their life spirits were damaged, their souls would instantly suffer heavy injuries. On the other hand, Tang Ao's jade and stone hidden body was completely different from other warriors. Tang Ao's soul and body were closely connected to his life soul. After his life soul was shattered, Tang Ao would be affected as if he was injured normally. He would not be severely injured instantly. Moreover, with the mutated jade bone life soul, Tang Ao was not afraid of normal injuries. At least, up until now, Tang Ao had never encountered any injuries that the jade bone life soul could not heal. While Tang Ao and Nan Xingzi were cultivating, Qing Fengyin, who was on the other side of the hurricane array, also noticed something. After the hurricane array was upgraded to the 21st level, Qing Fengyin was indeed unable to fully control it. However, the 8 life souls that set up the hurricane array were his, after all. Therefore, to a certain extent, Qing Fengyin could still detect things inside the array. Chapter 313. Under the star-devouring life soul, Tang Ao, who was sitting cross-legged, slowly opened his eyes. After blocking so many wind blades, Nan Xingzi's star-devouring life soul wasn't damaged at all. Instead, it gradually became brighter after devouring many wind blades. Apart from the star-devouring life soul, Tang Ao's 6 life souls couldn't take it anymore. Tang Ao fixed his gaze on it. There were already many cracks on the 100 battle spear soul's spear god. Even a part of the spear's body had become fragmented. If this continued, the 100 battle spear soul would probably shatter completely. Among all of Tang Ao's life souls, the 100 battle spear soul's grade was the lowest. Therefore, it was completely within Tang Ao's expectations that the 100 battle spear soul would collapse first. Seeing that the 100 battle spear soul was about to shatter, Tang Ao waved his hand, wanting to summon the 100 battle spear soul back. However, the 100 battle spear soul sent him a dire thought. Tang Ao was stunned. The 100 battle spear soul's method of sending messages to him was very unique. It was so unique that Tang Ao didn't know how the 100 battle spear soul sent him the message. However, Tang Ao knew that the 100 battle spear soul needed his spiritual power to replenish. Life souls and warriors were closely connected. After receiving the 100 battle spear soul's request, Tang Ao injected the pure and surging dark force in his body into the 100 battle spear soul without reservation. With the help of Tang Ao's spiritual power, the 100 battle spear soul's shattered spear body gradually solidified. As for the remaining life souls, their auras gradually grew stronger through the constant shattering and repair. In the beginning, Tang Ao looked at the changes of his life souls calmly. However, later on, Tang Ao realized that even with the vastness of his spiritual power, it was gradually unable to support the consumption of spiritual power by the 6 life souls. Immediately, Tang Ao sat cross-legged. As the ancient god moving sky technique was activated, the milky white cyclone of the hidden jade body in Tang Ao's dantian spun at a constant speed. At the same time, the spiritual power around Tang Ao seemed to be attracted and rushed into Tang Ao's body. After flowing into Tang Ao's body, it was instantly refined by Tang Ao into his own spiritual power and stored in his dantian. Spiritual power from all directions continuously surged towards Tang Ao, and then a visible vortex of spiritual power condensed above Tang Ao's head. This was the sign of spiritual power congratulating the awakening of the hidden jade body in stone. The hidden jade in stone body was born to be close to the spiritual power between heaven and earth. Since Tang Ao started cultivating it, the effect of the hidden jade in stone body had gradually come into play. At this moment, Nan Xingzi's soul had already roamed the great thousand world. Therefore, he could not sense the changes that were happening to Tang Ao in the outside world. When one's soul roamed the great thousand world, one's physical body was extremely weak in the outside world, with almost no defensive capabilities. In the past, Nan Xingzi used the starry sky devouring life spirit to defend himself, so he was naturally unafraid. However, Nan Xingzi was not the only one in the starry devouring life soul. There was also Tang Ao, whose strength was not any weaker than Nan Xingzi's. However, it could also be seen that Nan Xingzi trusted Tang Ao a lot. When Tang Ao was sitting beside him, he dared to roam the great thousand world without any defense. After entering the great thousand world, Nan Xingzi charged up to the 20th heaven in one go. Before entering the netherworld Emperor Mystic Realm, the 20th heaven was his limit. Chapter 3:14. After a flash of white light, Nan Xingzi arrived at the 21st layer. After arriving at the 21st layer, Nan Xingzi's soul shadow started to show some cracks, but it didn't affect his movements. Normally speaking, a warrior at the peak of the 9th level of the origin realm could only awaken a fate spirit of the 19th level. A first-level Sea of Soul realm martial artist could go to the 20th layer to awaken their own life soul. Nan Xingzi was now at second-level Sea of Soul realm, so a life soul at the 21st layer was also his limit. While cultivating, Tang Ao also noticed Nan Xingzi's situation. Tang Ao saw that Nan Xingzi's face was pale, and his body was shaking uncontrollably. Clearly, he was in trouble. After observing for a while, Tang Ao noticed that Nan Xingzi's soul power was very weak. Clearly, his soul was wandering around the world in search of a life soul. However, he didn't know how many layers Nan Xingzi had reached. Although his face was pale, it was clear that he hadn't reached his limit yet. If Tang Ao rashly helped him now, it would affect Nan Xingzi's future growth. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't immediately help Nan Xingzi comprehend a higher-level life soul. Instead, he cultivated while secretly paying attention to Nan Xingzi's movements. While Nan Xingzi was comprehending his life soul, Tang Ao waved his right hand. The 3 green lotus sword souls flew out of the devouring starry sky life soul and were baptized by the endless wind blades. At this moment, Tang Ao's invisible jade and stone body was activated, and with the help of the ancient god-moving sky art, Tang Ao's spiritual power was recovering at a shocking speed. Therefore, strengthening the 7 life souls of the 7 slaughter divine path at the same time was not a difficult task for Tang Ao. At the same time, Tang Ao also noticed the difference between the 7 life souls. The other 6 life souls were resisting the erosion of the wind blades with all their strength, but the 1,000 ghost-seeking soul was wandering in the hurricane formation. Tang Ao had obtained the 1,000 ghost-seeking soul for a long time, but he didn't spend much time studying it. After awakening the 1,000 ghost-seeking soul, Tang Ao almost didn't study it in detail. Tang Ao's interest was piqued when he saw the strange behavior of the soul-seeking 1,000 ghosts. Tang Ao immediately activated the Heaven's Eye art and carefully observed the movements of the 10,000 ghosts-seeking souls. After activating the Heaven's Eye art, the world in Tang Ao's eyes immediately changed. The originally incomparably sharp and abnormally swift wind blades gradually slowed down in Tang Ao's eyes, and even Tang Ao could clearly see their trickery in midair. Tang Ao was also shocked by the changes in front of him. In the past, when he used the Heaven's Eye art, his eyesight would skyrocket, but this was the first time that Tang Ao had encountered such a situation. Tang Ao had never expected that his Heaven Eye spell would have such a change after reaching the Seas of Soul's realm. With this level of Heaven's Eye art, Tang Ao felt that even without the protection of the Jade Bone Life Soul, he could still walk through the thousands of wind blades. Dang Dang could easily deal with these overwhelming wind blades by relying on the 7-kill slaughter art. With the support of the Heaven's Eye art, Tang Ao could vaguely see the souls that he originally needed to use his soul power to sense. The souls of the warriors killed by the hurricane formation didn't rise to the sky after they died in the Netherworld Emperor mystic realm. Instead, they gathered around their bodies and didn't dissipate. Chapter 3:15. As the soul-seeking technique guided the souls into the sky, these souls also sent waves of special energy back to the soul-seeking technique. After guiding close to 300 fate souls, the soul-seeking technique's grade went from the original 16th level to the current 18th level. Fortunately, Nanxingzi was also awakening his own fate soul. Otherwise, he would have been shocked speechless by the changes of the soul-seeking technique. Seeing the changes of the soul-seeking technique, Tang Ao was overjoyed. The person who created this heaven's evolution record was indeed a shocking genius. In the boundless world, after warriors awakened their fate souls, which warrior would be willing to completely give up control of their fate soul and allow it to move freely? Some powerful fate souls were extremely difficult to tame even under the full suppression of a warrior. If a warrior completely gave up control of his fate soul, there was a high possibility of a backlash even if the warrior had already awakened his fate soul. Just like Tang Ao and the others, they forcefully awakened fate souls above the 20th level when they were at the 9th level of the origin martial realm. The strength of the fate soul surpassed the warrior's control. This way, when the warrior completely relaxed his control of the fate soul, there was a high possibility of a backlash from the fate soul. Therefore, it was extremely dangerous for Tang Ao to release his control of 7 fate souls at the same time. However, this was only on the surface. Now that Tang Ao had broken through to the 3rd level of the Spirit Ocean realm, Tang Ao could completely control fate souls below the 20th level. Therefore, when Tang Ao released his control of the 7 fate souls, the 7 fate souls could not bite back at Tang Ao. Of course, when the 7 fate souls all advanced to the 20th level and above, it would be a different story. Tang Ao wasn't sure if the other life souls could advance to the life soul above the 20th firmament, but the soul-seeking soul that had been wandering in the hurricane array was definitely going to break through to the 20th firmament. The Heaven's Evolution record said that all 36 high-grade life souls gradually grew from a low-grade life soul at the first heaven. Initially, Tang Ao was still skeptical of this idea. However, after seeing the Green Lotus Sword soul and the 10,000 Ghosts searching soul, Tang Ao was completely convinced of this idea. Now, the Green Lotus Sword soul, which was originally at the 9th heaven, had grown to the 15th heaven, and the other life souls had also improved accordingly. Among them, the most prominent was the 10,000 Ghosts seeking souls. The soul of 10,000 Ghosts seeking soul was originally the life spirit of the 16th layer of heaven. However, as the soul of 10,000 Ghosts seeking soul continued to attract the souls of the martial artists who had died in the hurricane array, the soul of 10,000 Ghosts seeking soul began to change. The myriad Ghosts seeking soul had already advanced from the initial 16th heaven life soul to the 19th heaven. The higher the heaven realm the martial Tao life spirit was in, the stronger it would be. Take the Green Lotus Sword soul as an example. Originally, the Green Lotus Sword Soul only had the strength of the ninth sky, and it could transform into 3 Green Lotus Sword Souls. But now, after advancing to the food realm, it could transform into 5 Green Lotus Sword Souls at the same time. However, after reaching the level of 5 Green Lotus Sword Souls, the speed of the Green Lotus Sword Soul's advancement gradually slowed down. Chapter 3:16. The number of life souls at the first firmament and the second firmament was almost the same. However, if one were to compare the life souls at the first firmament to the 23rd firmament life soul that Tang Ao had reached in this life, the 23rd heaven life soul was much stronger than the first heaven life soul, but the number of 23rd heaven life souls wasn't even comparable to the number of first heaven life souls. As Tang Ao pondered, the 5 green lotuses formed by the Green Lotus Sword Soul shattered again. After the Green Lotus Sword Soul shattered, the surging spiritual power in Tang Ao's body poured into the Green Lotus Sword Soul without reservation. With the nourishment of Tang Ao's pure spiritual power, the shattered Green Lotus Sword Soul gradually condensed again. As the Green Lotus Sword Soul absorbed and fused with Tang Ao's spiritual power, the Green Lotus Sword Soul's aura gradually became stronger. The Green Lotus Sword Soul, which had stopped at the 15th Heaven Life Soul, quickly reached the 16th Heaven Life Soul. However, after reaching the 16th Heaven Life Soul, the advancement of the Green Lotus Sword Soul was still not over. Under the gaze of Tang Ao's Heaven Eye Art, the Green Lotus Sword Soul even began to devour the surrounding spiritual power. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao hurriedly stopped the Green Lotus Sword Soul. Then, under the slight resistance of the Green Lotus Sword Soul, Tang Ao retracted the Green Lotus Sword Soul into his body. After retracting the Green Lotus Sword Soul into his body, Tang Ao's pure spiritual power continuously surged toward the Green Lotus Sword Soul. Furthermore, the huge spiritual power cyclone formed around Tang Ao also continuously flowed into Tang Ao's body. After being absorbed and refined by Tang Ao's hidden jade in stone and ancient god moving sky technique, it was provided to the Green Lotus Sword Soul that was advancing. With the nourishment of Tang Ao's soul power, the Green Lotus Sword Soul gradually calmed down. However, the original 5 green lotuses had been reduced to 6. The advancement of the Green Lotus Sword Soul continued, and the spiritual power in this space was attracted by Tang Ao. If someone else were to see such a phenomenon, they would definitely be able to tell that it was caused by the legendary hidden jade body in stone. However, due to the hurricane array, no one had the opportunity to witness the might of Tang Ao's hidden jade in stone body. The only person who could witness the wonders of the hidden jade body in the rock was Nanxingzi. At this moment, he was at a critical moment of awakening his life soul. Of course, he had no intention of watching the wonders of the hidden jade body in the rock. Luo Tsai, who was far away from Tang Ao, suddenly thought of something. At this moment, Luo Tsai and Kashihara Yuki's injuries had not completely recovered. Furthermore, for some unknown reason, the two of them didn't find any treasures in the Netherworld Emperor's mystic realm. They seemed to have been targeted by someone else. Luo Tsai and Kasahara Yuki were already injured, and after being chased continuously, their initial injuries had not yet healed. This time, Tang Ao was the first to break through to the 3rd level of the Sea of Soul Realm, while Dongxian Yi and Ouyang Duan had also broken through to the 2nd level. However, Luo Tsai and Kashihara Yuki were still injured, and they were constantly being chased for no apparent reason. As a result, the two of them, who were originally quite talented, had barely reached the 1st level of the Sea of Soul Realm. Chapter 3:17. Just as Tang Ao was wondering why he could sense Luo Tsai, the Green Lotus Sword Soul in Tang Ao's body had completed its advancement. The strength of the evolved Green Lotus Sword Soul shocked Tang Ao. This was because Tang Ao had originally expected to break through to the 20th heaven soul-seeking spirit, but it was still stuck at the 19th heaven soul-seeking spirit. And the Green Lotus Sword Soul, which was originally at the 15th heaven soul level, now had the strength of a 21st heaven soul level. With a thought from Tang Ao, 7 Green Lotus Sword Souls floated around his body. And with a thought from Tang Ao, the 7 Green Lotus Sword Souls also changed from the form of the Green Lotus to the form of 7 Sword. The 7 Killing Sage path did not have any special requirements for the life spirit. Now that he was using the 7 Green Lotus Sword Souls to cast the 7 Killing Sage path, the power of the 7 Killing Sage path would increase by another level. At this time, Tang Ao noticed that his other life spirits had also grown to their limit. Other than the Green Lotus Sword Soul and the Spirit-Seeking Spirit reaching the 20th and 21st Heaven Soul levels, the other Martial Tao life spirits had all completed their metamorphosis under the baptism of the Wind Blades and the nourishment of Tang Ao's pure spiritual power. The 8 Treasure Goose Plume Sword Soul, Dominating World Axe Soul, and other life spirits had all been raised to the 18th heaven soul level. Although he was trapped in the hurricane array by Qing Fengyin, it delayed Tang Ao's search for treasures in the underworld emperor's mystic realm. But with the help of Qing Fengyin's hurricane array, Tang Ao had also strengthened all the low-level life spirits that could not keep up with his strength. From the looks of it, not only did Tang Ao not suffer any losses, but he had also gained a huge advantage. After all, such a special environment was not easy to find in the Underworld Emperor's mystic realm. Not to mention the Underworld Emperor's mystic realm, it was not easy to find such a place in the Black-Yellow continent. With a thought, Tang Ao kept the other 6 life souls back into his body. With news of Luotsai, Tang Ao didn't want to waste time with Qing Fengyin and the rest. Now that Tang Ao's strength had greatly improved, Tang Ao was confident that he could break through Qing Fengyin's hurricane array by consuming half of his spiritual power. If he could find the heart of the array, Tang Ao was even more confident that he could break the hurricane array by consuming another 30% of his spiritual power. However, before breaking the hurricane formation, Tang Ao had something to do. He had to help Nan Xingzi awaken a higher-level life soul. Tang Ao's Jade Bone life soul wrapped around Nan Xingzi. Then, Tang Ao's voice entered Nan Xingzi's mind. At this moment, Nan Xingzi had already arrived at the 22nd heaven. However, his body that was formed from his soul was already in a terrible state. Under such circumstances, it was difficult to even move a single step, much less choose a life soul. Just as Nan Xingzi was feeling helpless, he suddenly heard Tang Ao's voice. "Junior brother Nan, I'll use my Jade Bone life soul to help you later. You have 30 breaths of time to choose a life soul in the 22nd heaven. Remember, you only have 30 breaths of time." Nan Xingzi was stunned when he heard Tang Ao's words. Ever since he started cultivating, he had never heard of anyone being able to get help from others to awaken their life soul. If that was the case, then there were 2 people in the Flying Star Mansion who were similar to Sage Fengya. Moreover, his martial talent was second to none in the Flying Star Mansion. The 2 patriarchs would have long helped him awaken the 29th heaven-devouring galaxy life soul. However, despite his doubts, Nan Xingzi remained calm and prepared for the final battle with Tang Ao's help. Although Nan Xingzi didn't think that Tang Ao would be able to help him with something that the 2 patriarchs of the Flying Star Mansion couldn't do, he still chose to believe in Tang Ao. If Nan Xingzi returned his soul to his body now, he would suffer some injuries but not severe ones. However, if he believed in Tang Ao and forcefully awakened his life soul in the 22nd heaven, his soul power body that was formed from his soul would definitely be crushed by the law of heaven and earth of the 22nd heaven. That way, Nan Xingzi wouldn't end up dead. However, he would still be severely injured due to the damage to his soul power. Chapter 3:18. Sure thing. Tang Ao did not waste any time. He unleashed his jade bone life spirit and instantly healed Nan Xingzi's injuries. Then, faint green light spots surged into Nan Xingzi's soul power and healed the damage to his soul. In the universal world, a layer of faint green light spots appeared around Nan Xingzi's broken body. It was Tang Ao's jade bone life spirit. With the help of Tang Ao's jade bone life spirit, Nan Xingzi's soul, that was on the verge of shattering on the 22nd heaven, solidified again. However, Nan Xingzi did not have the time to be surprised. He immediately charged forward to find a suitable life spirit for himself. At this moment, Nan Xingzi felt the faint green light spots on the surface of his body. He looked at the entrance of the 23rd heaven with a burning gaze. With the help of Tang Ao's jade bone life spirit, Nan Xingzi could move freely on the 22nd heaven. However, Nan Xingzi yearned to reach the 23rd heaven to awaken a life spirit. However, Nan Xingzi was unsure if the faint green light spots on his body could withstand the laws of the 23rd heaven. Just as Nan Xingzi was hesitating, Tang Ao's voice entered his mind again. "Junior brother Nan, with my current strength, I can help you reach the 23rd heaven. However, after that, you only have 3 breaths time to awaken your 23rd heaven life spirit." Nan Xingzi was extremely excited. "Senior brother Tang Ao, help me." With that, Nan Xingzi did not hesitate anymore. He turned into a stream of light and entered the 23rd heaven. The moment he entered the 23rd heaven, Nan Xingzi's soul became mottled and shattered again. However, Nan Xingzi still had the ability to move. Without thinking too much, Nan Xingzi reached out and grabbed a life soul, instantly refining it with a secret technique. Thereafter, Nan Xingzi's soul returned to his body from the universal world. After Nan Xingzi's soul returned to his body, a dazzling divine light descended from the sky and entered his body. "Congratulations, junior brother Nan. You've awakened your 23rd heaven life spirit." Under the envelopment of the jade bone life soul, Tang Ao could see everything that happened to Nan Xingzi in the Great Thousand World. Moreover, the powerful and dazzling divine light from outer space just now also showed that Nan Xingzi had awakened an extremely powerful 23rd heaven life soul. After awakening this life soul, Nan Xingzi was overjoyed. "Senior brother Tang Ao, I really don't know what to say. We're brothers, there's no need to be so formal." Nan Xingzi dared to travel the Great Thousand World in front of Tang Ao, which meant that he had absolute trust in Tang Ao. And for Tang Ao to dare show Nan Xingzi his means of helping others awaken a high-grade life soul, it also showed Tang Ao's trust in Nan Xingzi. Nan Xingzi and Tang Ao had gained a lot from the hurricane formation. Tang Ao raised the 7-kill Carnage Art Life Spirit to the 18th heaven and the Green Lotus Sword Soul to the 21st heaven. Nan Xingzi had also gained a lot. With Tang Ao's help, Nan Xingzi had awakened the 23rd heaven Supreme Star Life Spirit. Although the Supreme Star Life Spirit was not a life spirit for battle, it was incomparable to Tang Ao's Mora Bone Dagger. However, the Supreme Star Life Spirit had its uses. Chapter 3:19. However, with Tang Ao's help, Nan Xingzi awakened a 23rd Sky Life Spirit. Awakening a 23rd Sky Life Spirit at the 2nd level of the Sea of Souls realm. If this news were to spread, even if it was Nan Xingzi, the martial genius of the Flying Star Mansion, who had awakened a 23rd Sky Life Spirit, it would still cause a huge commotion. When Tang Ao awakened the Mora Bone Dagger Life Spirit, because Tang Ao's own strength was too low, Tang Ao used the hidden jade in stone body to conceal the powerful aura of the Mora Bone Dagger Life Spirit. Therefore, no one knew that Tang Ao had already awakened the Mora Bone Dagger Life Spirit from the 23rd sky. However, Nan Xingzi did not have the special constitution of the hidden jade in stone body. Adding on the falling light, the news of someone awakening a 23rd sky life spirit in the hurricane formation had already spread like wildfire. There were only about 30% of the martial artists who had chased after Dong Xianyi. Although they were not as relaxed as Tang Ao and the others, who could move freely in the hurricane formation, they were still able to protect themselves. However, in the hurricane formation, these people could still protect themselves against the millions of wind blade. At this moment, when the cultivators sensed the light flowing from outer space that originated from the 23rd heaven of the great thousand world, they were all shocked speechless. They were all at the peak of the 9th level of the origin martial realm. They thought that after breaking through to the 9th level of the origin martial realm, they were already the best in the underworld emperor secret realm. Because the secret realm had a restriction on the cultivation of the participants, the top disciples of the big sects were only at the 9th level of the origin martial realm. Now that they had reached the peak of the 9th level of the origin martial realm, the disciples of the small sects were very proud. Seeing Dong Xianyi run away, they chased after him without thinking. At that moment, after seeing the light stream that came from the 23rd heaven, everyone was certain that the person who had awakened the 23rd heaven life soul was Dongswani without a second thought. And the culprit of all this, Nan Xingzi, was still under the protection of the devouring sky life spirit, chatting happily with Tang Ao. Tang Ao personally verified the life soul advancement method on the heaven evolution record and was also in a good mood. Compared to obtaining a 23rd firmament life soul, Tang Ao felt that it was more exciting to discover that an awakened life soul could advance. After confirming that the theory recorded in the heaven evolution record was feasible, Tang Ao could gradually explore the advancement of various life souls. As for the origin of human cultivation of martial arts, it was already impossible to find out. However, Tang Ao believed that even with the development of martial arts to this day, it had not reached the peak level. On the other hand, by relying on the records of the heaven evolution record and his own fortuitous encounters, he might be able to open up a brand new martial path for the common people. However, Tang Ao could only think about this grand ambition. With his current ability, it was undoubtedly a pipe dream for him to achieve this. However, Tang Ao wasn't sure if he could do it in the future. At that moment, the only thing Tang Ao could be sure of was that as long as there was a glimmer of hope, Tang Ao would do his best to do it. Senior Tang Ao, few people in the same generation can match your understanding of martial arts life souls. I wonder if Senior Tang Ao could see the use of my life soul just now? Nan Xingzi was very convinced of Tang Ao's knowledge and ability. With Tang Ao's help, he had awakened the 23rd firmament life soul. Chapter 320. Nan Xingzi's sect, Feishing House, was the same as the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. They were both sects that researched various galactic life souls. Nan Xingzi had read most of the books in the sect. However, there were no records of the Supreme Star Life Soul even in Nan Xingzi's sect. Thus, Nan Xingzi could only try his luck and ask Tang Ao. If Nan Xingzi was asking about other fate souls, Tang Ao might not know, but this was the Supreme Star Fate Soul. However, this Supreme Star Life Soul was one of the few life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution record. After this period of research, Tang Ao discovered that there were a total of 365 life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution record. Moreover, Tang Ao combined his knowledge from his previous life and this life to come up with a unified evaluation of these life souls. That was the 365 life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution record. Not a single life soul wasn't an extremely rare life soul. Of the 10 life souls that Tang Ao had awakened, only 3 were among the 365 life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution record. There was no need to talk about the Jade Bone life soul that helped Tang Ao the most. The other 2 were the Green Lotus Sword soul at level 9 and the Mora Bone Dagger life soul at level 23. Among the 365 life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution Record, almost half of them were life souls below the 20th level of the heaven. The Supreme Star Life Soul that Nan Xingzi had awakened was also one of the life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution Records. The Supreme Star Fate Spirit is mysterious and I don't know much about it. As far as I know, the Supreme Star Fate Spirit has an extremely covetous effect. It can predict good or bad luck. Since you've awakened this life soul, you might have more discoveries in the future. Although the Heaven Evolution Records recorded 365 rare life souls, there wasn't much introduction to most of them. There was only a detailed introduction to the 30 or so life souls that had clear advancement paths. The creator of the Heaven Evolution Records probably didn't understand the mysteries of these 365 life souls. At this point, Tang Ao discovered that his life had an additional joy. It was to clearly explore the 365 rare life souls recorded in the Heaven Evolution Record and complete the mysteries and advancement paths of these life souls. And now, Tang Ao could write something about the advancement route of the Green Lotus Sword Soul. There was another point that made Tang Ao feel rather strange. From Tang Ao's point of view, his myriad ghosts-seeking soul could definitely be considered a mysterious and rare life soul, but for some reason, this mysterious life soul was not recorded in the Celestial Evolution Record. This puzzled Tang Ao. When Nan Xingzi heard Tang Ao's words, he sighed to himself. Not only was Tang Ao powerful, but his methods were also shocking. Even his knowledge was not something his peers could compare to. Even his own sect didn't have a record of the Supreme Star Life Soul, but Tang Ao could casually name its use. While Tang Ao and Zhuo Bufan were discussing the Supreme Star Life Soul, the shock that the Supreme Star Life Soul brought to everyone in the hurricane formation was still fermenting. At this moment, King Fenjian and Zhuo Bufan were facing each other. Both of their eyes revealed a trace of shock. In this hurricane formation, there weren't many people who had the ability to awaken the 23rd Heaven Life Soul. The two of them could barely be counted as one of them. But since this life soul wasn't awakened by the two of them, it must have been awakened by either Dongxian Yi or Nan Xingzi. Nan Xingzi's strength was similar to the two of them, so it was unlikely that it was awakened by Nan Xingzi. Chapter 321. With the cosmic devouring life soul, Nan Xingzi and Tang Ao didn't notice that Nan Xingzi had awakened his 23rd Heaven Life Soul and stirred up a storm in the hurricane formation. Nan Xingzi and Tang Ao weren't far from a wind heart pearl. At such a close distance, apart from powerful warriors like Tang Ao and Nan Xingzi, it was difficult for ordinary warriors to survive. Senior brother Tang Ao, now that we're trapped in the hurricane formation, why don't I protect you? You can use this opportunity to awaken a powerful life soul? Nan Xingzi was in a good mood after awakening the Supreme Star Life Soul, so he suggested. Junior brother Nan, that's a good suggestion. After my strength improved greatly, I really didn't have time to awaken a life soul. I'll have to trouble you to protect me this time. After saying that, Tang Ao didn't waste any time. He immediately closed his eyes and sat cross-legged. Then, he focused his mind and calmed himself down. Moments later, Tang Ao's soul arrived in the colossal world. He looked at the endless exotic plants, mountains, rivers, lakes, birds, beasts, the sun, moon, and stars on the first level of the colossal world. Tang Ao was stunned for a moment. With the Heaven Evolution Record's advancement method for low-level life souls, Tang Ao was thinking about whether he should awaken a high-level life soul or a low-level life soul and gradually advance it. To Tang Ao, who had the Heaven Evolution Record, awakening a high-level life soul or a low-level life soul would have the same effect. With the Heaven Evolution Record's advancement method for life souls, even a low-level life soul, Tang Ao could advance it to a high-level life soul. The only difference was that awakening a low-level life soul, post-celestial flowing light, would give Tang Ao a negligible gift. However, if he awakened a high-level life soul, the gift of post-celestial flowing light would significantly increase Tang Ao's current strength. Moreover, he could use a high-level life soul directly after awakening it, immediately increasing Tang Ao's combat strength. As for a low-level life soul, he still had to nurture it for a period of time after awakening it, so the increase in his strength was limited. After weighing the pros and cons, Tang Ao decided to head towards the higher heavens. He could awaken a low-level life soul at any time, but a high-level life soul wasn't that easy to awaken. Even if Tang Ao had the hidden jade body in stone, the 1-in-a-million mystical physique, as well as the ancient god moving the heavens technique and the heaven evolution record, these two rare mystical techniques, it was impossible for Tang Ao to survive. However, Tang Ao couldn't casually enter the boundless world to gain insight into his fate soul. Furthermore, the netherworld Dharch mystic realm was fraught with danger. There weren't many opportunities to awaken his fate soul. Therefore, Tang Ao had to seize the opportunity to awaken a life soul that he needed the most. A low-rank heaven domain realm soul definitely wouldn't be enough. Therefore, Tang Ao arrived at the 22nd firmament in one go. This time, Tang Ao decided to awaken a 23rd firmament life soul. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was only one level higher than Nanxingzi's, Tang Ao's strength was many times stronger than Nanxingzi's. Nanxingzi's soul shadow was already on the verge of collapse at the 22nd firmament, but Tang Ao's soul shadow was as smooth as ever. It was brimming with energy and didn't look like it was damaged at all. Therefore, Tang Ao hadn't used his jade bone life soul to repair his injuries. However, as Tang Ao prepared to advance to the 23rd firmament, a layer of faint green light appeared on the surface of Tang Ao's soul shadow. Chapter 322. Under the galaxy-devouring fate soul, Nanxingzi looked at Tang Ao, who was sitting upright. He didn't know which level of heaven Tang Ao was searching for his fate soul. From Nanxingzi's point of view, Tang Ao was stronger than him. Tang Ao should be searching for his fate soul at the 21st level of heaven. However, what Nanxingzi didn't know was that Tang Ao had already arrived at the 23rd level of heaven. After arriving at the 23rd level of heaven, cracks gradually appeared on Tang Ao's soul silhouette. However, they were quickly repaired by the Jade Bone Vitality Fate Soul. Following that, more cracks appeared and were repaired by the Jade Bone Vitality Fate Soul. Just like that, Tang Ao's soul silhouette reached a balance in the constant damage and repair process. Therefore, Tang Ao wasn't like Nanxingzi, who could only last 3 breaths of time in the 23rd level of heaven before immediately retracting his soul. After the recovery ability of the Jade Bone Vitality Fate Soul and the speed at which his soul was damaged reached a stable balance, Tang Ao leisurely walked around the 23rd level of heaven. While walking around the 23rd level of heaven, Tang Ao saw quite a number of excellent fate souls. Not far from Tang Ao, there was a transparent worm that was as smooth as white marble. This worm was obviously not an ordinary worm. It was the famous 100-grass pure heart silkworm. When he saw this worm, Tang Ao hesitated for a moment. The 100-grass pure heart silkworm fate soul was also an excellent fate soul. After the 100-grass pure heart silkworm fate soul was awakened, it could help a warrior become one with their mind during cultivation and not be disturbed by external things. With such a fate soul, when a warrior cultivated, their heart and lungs would feel like they were being cleansed by a clear spring. Their 5 senses would be filled with the vitality of all living things. It could make a warrior feel more comfortable and calm during cultivation. With this fate soul, even if a warrior made some mistakes during cultivation, it wouldn't cause him to go berserk. The 100-grass pure heart silkworm could use the power of frost to rapidly seal the meridians of a warrior, allowing the warrior to wake up completely. Faced with such a life soul, Tang Ao was naturally very tempted. However, after much hesitation, Tang Ao still didn't awaken the 100-grass pure heart silkworm life soul. Beside Tang Ao, Nan Xingzi suddenly felt a warm breeze when Tang Ao walked to the 100-herb pure heart silkworm. Although Nan Xingzi didn't know what was happening, he had a vague feeling that Tang Ao had found a very suitable life soul. However, Nan Xingzi soon felt an evil wind coming from behind him. It was bone-chilling and made him feel very uncomfortable. Nan Xingzi didn't know what kind of feeling it was, but he vaguely felt that Tang Ao seemed to have missed out on the most suitable life soul for him. However, Nan Xingzi didn't have the means that Tang Ao had. At that moment, even if Nan Xingzi had any thoughts, he couldn't immediately communicate with Tang Ao, who was in the Great Thousand World. He could only wait for Tang Ao to come out of the Great Thousand World before talking to Tang Ao. After leaving the 100-herb pure heart silkworm fate soul, Tang Ao continued walking around the 23rd heaven. At that moment, Tang Ao saw a huge pair of bone wings not far away. He didn't know what kind of creature had left this pair of bone wings behind. Although the flesh and blood on the bone wings had disappeared a long time ago, the bones were smooth and hard like diamond jade. Chapter 323. The Wind Thunder Nether Cloud was known as the #1 speed treasure in the Black-Yellow Continent. Although this pair of bone wings wasn't bad, Tang Ao didn't believe that this pair of bone wings could be faster than the legendary Wind Thunder Nether Cloud. After walking past this bone wing life soul, Tang Ao encountered many good life souls. At that moment, Tang Ao had the 7 kills Holy Way and the terrifying Mora Bone Dagger life soul. In terms of offensive means, Tang Ao felt that it was enough to deal with the current situation. As for Tang Ao, what he lacked the most was a life soul that was biased towards defense and movement technique. Although the Jade Bone Vitality life soul also had extraordinary defensive strength, it was ultimately a healing-type life soul. It was somewhat far-fetched to keep using the Jade Bone Vitality life soul for defense. In terms of movement techniques, although Tang Ao had the Mystic Valley Kick, as Tang Ao's strength continued to increase, the Mystic Valley Kick, which had been effective time and time again, paled in comparison. Although these two were what Tang Ao urgently needed, Tang Ao didn't expect to find a life soul that could satisfy both of his requirements at once. From Tang Ao's point of view, as long as he could find a life soul that could satisfy one of his requirements, this trip to the major Kiliacosm wouldn't be in vain. Unfortunately, Tang Ao hadn't found a suitable life soul. After walking for a while, Tang Ao considered going to the 24th heaven to take a look. Although the 23rd heaven life soul was not bad, he didn't find a single one that could satisfy his current requirements. Now, he could either casually awaken a 23rd heaven life soul or return to the low-level heavenly domain to take a look. However, neither of these choices was very good. Casually awakening a life soul wasn't of much help to Tang Ao, and a low-level heavenly domain life soul was almost useless to Tang Ao. He could nurture an outstanding life soul at any time, but if he wanted to gain something in the underworld Emperor mystic realm, it was clearly impossible not to awaken a suitable life soul. As Tang Ao pondered, he wandered around the 23rd heaven of the major Kiliacosm. Suddenly, Tang Ao discovered a crystalline dewdrop, but there was a glimmer in it. Clearly, it wasn't an ordinary dewdrop. The dewdrop didn't stick to the plants but floated above a 3-colored lotus platform. This tricolor lotus throne was not much stronger than Tang Ao's 7-petaled green lotus sword soul. Tang Ao naturally did not have much interest in this tricolor lotus throne. However, what piqued Tang Ao's interest was the dewdrop suspended above the 3-colored lotus throne. This droplet of dew was recorded in the Heaven Evolution Record as Heart Enlightening Dew. Just like the 100-grass pure heart silkworm that Tang Ao had encountered in the beginning, this clear heart dew also had the effect of calming the mind. Moreover, it was different from the 100-grass pure heart silkworm that protected the physique. This clear heart dew mainly nourished the spirit. When Tang Ao walked in front of the mind dew, Nan Xingzi suddenly felt a spring breeze. Nan Xingzi was stunned. The first time he felt this way, it could be a coincidence, but the second time was probably not a coincidence. Nan Xingzi was taken aback. The first time he had this feeling, it could be considered a coincidence. However, the second time he had this feeling, it might not be as simple as a coincidence. Nan Xingzi was stunned. The first time he felt this way, it could be a coincidence, but the second time was probably not as simple as a coincidence. Based on what Tang Ao had said, the Supreme Star Life Spirit could predict good or bad luck on the path of martial arts. Nan Xingzi thought to himself, could it be that Tang Ao had encountered two important decisions that affected Tang Ao's future? Nan Xingzi wanted to remind Tang Ao, but he didn't have the Jade Bone Life Soul, so he couldn't do what Tang Ao did. Chapter 324. In the 23rd heaven of the major Kiliacosm, Tang Ao looked at the mind-illuminating dew life soul in front of him and hesitated. Among all the life souls he had encountered so far, this drop of mind-illuminating dew life soul was very good. However, the life soul Tang Ao wanted to awaken this time had to aid his movement techniques and defense. Therefore, although this drop of mind-illuminating dew life soul was good, Tang Ao could only bear to part with it. If Tang Ao was stronger, Tang Ao might be able to awaken two life souls of the 23rd heaven at the same time. However, with Tang Ao's present strength, he could only awaken one life soul. And at that moment, in the underworld Dharch mystic realm, Tang Ao didn't dare awaken a life soul based on his preferences. The life soul he awakened this time could not be the best, but it had to be the most practical. It was the greatest improvement for the present Tang Ao. Immediately, Tang Ao walked past the mind-illuminating dew life soul and walked around the 23rd heaven again, searching for a life soul that suited his needs the best. Tang Ao knew quite a bit about life souls that increased his movement techniques and defense. However, in Tang Ao's memories, those were life souls above the 27th heaven. Although Tang Ao's present strength was impressive, he was far from being able to reach the 27th heaven. From Tang Ao's point of view, with his present strength, reaching the 24th heaven was his limit. It wasn't realistic to go any higher. Furthermore, Tang Ao couldn't guarantee that he could awaken a suitable life soul if he reached the 24th heaven. This was because Tang Ao was worried that he would end up like Nan Xingzi after entering the 24th heaven. He wouldn't have the chance to choose a life soul before being crushed by the worldly laws. Although Tang Ao was in a rush to awaken a suitable life soul, he wasn't at the point of risking his life at the 24th heaven. This was because, with Tang Ao's personality, once he discovered that there was a suitable life soul in the 24th heaven, he would probably refine that life soul at the risk of his soul phantom being crushed. When Tang Ao left the mind-illuminating dew life soul, Nan Xingzi, who was under the cosmic devouring life soul, felt a sinister wind. Nan Xingzi sighed helplessly. From the looks of it, Tang Ao had missed the opportunity to awaken a suitable life soul. However, even though Nan Xingzi could sense something unusual with the help of the Supreme Star Life Soul, he had no way of transmitting the information to Tang Ao at the moment. After Tang Ao left the mind-illuminating dew life soul, he discovered a few good life souls. However, soul Tang illuminating Tang Ao didn't illuminating souls Tang heaven. Didn't illuminated Tang of sword. Tang Ao illuminating light. After walking for a while, Tang Ao found a jade pendant floating in front of him. Illuminated soul Tang Ao floating of one. Tang recognized. Tang recognized jade fate of illuminated of this soul Tang. Illumin spirit illum. This was the void-condensed jade pendant life soul Tang Ao had awakened in his previous life. Therefore, when Tang Ao saw this life soul, he missed it. If he wasn't in the underworld emperor mystic realm, Tang Ao would definitely awaken this life soul without any hesitation. This void-condensed jade pendant life soul had similar functions to the 100-grass pure heart silkworm life soul and the mind-illuminating dew life soul. To be precise, it was more like a combination of the 100-grass pure heart silkworm and the mind-illuminating dew life soul. Warriors with the void-condensed jade pendant life soul would have their bodies and minds empty during cultivation. They wouldn't be affected by external objects. With such a life soul, a martial artist would be able to completely avoid the risk of chi deviation during the process of cultivation. Chapter 325. Now that he was in the underworld emperor mystic realm, this life soul was useless to Tang Ao. At that moment, Tang Ao decided to temporarily give up on this life soul and find the most suitable one to awaken. Under the star-devouring life soul, Nanxingzi felt helpless as he faced the feeling of warm wind one moment and cold wind the next. In the 23rd heaven, Tang Ao found it strange that he had encountered the 100-grass pure heart silkworm life soul, Mingxin dew life soul, and void-condensing jade pendant life soul. This was not the first time he had awakened a life soul in the Great Thousand World, but he had never encountered such a strange thing before. However, this thought only flashed in Tang Ao's mind for a moment before Tang Ao stopped thinking about it. At that moment, in the 23rd heaven, Tang Ao had already filtered through most of the places, but he still hadn't found a suitable life soul. Therefore, Tang Ao began to think about going up to the 24th heaven or back to the lower heaven to find a life soul. Even if there was a suitable life soul in the lower heaven domain, it wouldn't be of much help to Tang Ao. Therefore, Tang Ao still wanted to go to the 24th heaven to find a life soul. Thinking of this, Tang Ao walked towards the realm transformation gate of the 24th heaven. When Tang Ao was halfway there, his eyes suddenly lit up. At this moment, not far from Tang Ao, there was a glazed skeleton that was emitting a golden light. This life soul was extremely rare. If it wasn't recorded in the heaven evolution records, he wouldn't have heard of this life soul even if he had lived 2 lives. This golden glass-like skeleton life soul was actually not a human bone, but was nurtured by heaven and earth. The name of this skeleton was the sacred battle skeleton. The battle sage bone life soul could greatly increase the strength of a warrior's body when awakened. At its peak, it could even make a warrior's body as hard as a divine artifact. With this life soul, be it Tang Ao's physical defense or agility, they were greatly improved. Therefore, to the current Tang Ao, there was almost no life soul more suitable than the one in front of him. After seeing this life soul, Tang Ao thought of the life souls he had encountered before. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao came to a conclusion. The good life souls that had appeared were probably a test from the heavens. It was to see if he could stick to his heart and persist in awakening the most suitable life soul for himself. And under Tang Ao's persistence, he finally found the battle sage bone life soul that was very suitable for him. With this life soul, Tang Ao was confident that as long as he was familiar with it, even if he stood defenseless in the hurricane formation, the thousands of wind blades in the formation wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Tang Ao covered the battle sage bone life soul with his palm, and the battle sage bone life soul did not reject Tang Ao. It turned into a golden light and entered Tang Ao's body. After awakening the battle sage bone life soul at the 23rd firmament, Tang Ao's soul returned to his body from the major kiliacosm. An extremely powerful stream of light from outer space whistled down from the sky and entered Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao abruptly opened his eyes, and golden spiritual power overflowed from his eyes. Chapter 326. Furthermore, from the instant increase in Tang Ao's aura, the life soul that Tang Ao had awakened was a huge boost for the current Tang Ao. When Tang Ao had sat beside Nanxingzi, Nanxingzi had felt that Tang Ao was very strong. However, the current Tang Ao gave Nanxingzi a sense of oppression. Although Nanxingzi had never fought with Tang Ao, he could vaguely sense that he wasn't Tang Ao's match. After sensing the battle sage bone life soul that he had just awakened, Tang Ao said with a smile, "I was just lucky." Tang Ao wasn't lying. He had indeed been very lucky to awaken the battle sage bone life soul. This was because before Tang Ao had awakened the battle sage bone life soul, he had encountered many excellent life souls. If not for Tang Ao's stubbornness, Tang Ao would have long chosen another life soul to awaken. Upon hearing Tang Ao's words, Nanxingzi thought that Tang Ao was being humble. "Senior brother Tang Ao, when your soul was roaming the major thousand world, I had the feeling that you seemed to have missed a very suitable life soul." Nanxingzi recounted his feelings to Tang Ao in detail. After Nanxingzi was done, Tang Ao pondered for a moment and recounted his encounter in the major thousand world to Nanxingzi. Tang Ao didn't even hide the fact that he had discovered the battle sage bone life soul. There was no need to hide such things. Furthermore, he and Nanxingzi were considered good friends. Nanxingzi was amazed after hearing Tang Ao recount Tang Ao's encounter in the major thousand world. It wasn't the first time Nanxingzi had awakened a life soul in the major thousand world. However, he had never encountered a situation like Tang Ao's. Not only had he never encountered something like this, but he had also never heard of something like this. "I didn't expect senior brother Tang Ao to awaken the battle sage bone life soul." Nanxingzi was very envious after hearing that Tang Ao had awakened the battle sage bone life soul. The major thousand worlds' 36 heaven domains weren't static. On the contrary, the 36 heavens of the vast thousand world were constantly changing. This might be what he saw when he entered the great thousand worlds this time, but the next time he entered the great thousand worlds it might not be like this. Not only that, but the boundless world that everyone entered was also different. Although the life spirits in the boundless world were the same, the life spirits that different warriors saw in the boundless world were not necessarily the same. Even at the same time, two martial artists in the same heaven domain would encounter different life souls. When Tang Ao went to the 23 heaven Ao, but when Tang Ao. However, when Tang Ao went to the 23rd heaven again, it was possible that the 23rd heaven didn't even have the supreme star life soul. Similarly, it was the same for Nanxingzi. Even if Nanxingzi entered the 23 heaven now, he might not encounter the life souls that Tang Ao had encountered previously. Nanxingzi was very familiar with the battle sage bone life soul that Tang Ao had awakened. Among the two patriarchs of the Flying Star Mansion, one of them had awakened the battle sage bone life soul. There was no doubt that the ancestral master's combat strength was extremely powerful. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.